Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
What's going on, folks? Welcome to the program. Pleasure to have your company from wherever you are joining us. We're getting closer and closer to the golf and the Olympics on the men's side kicking off this week, this Thursday. Early, though, because obviously it's taking place in France, and they are, 6 hours ahead of the East Coast of the USA, where we are broadcasting from in our studios in Orlando. So just minutes ago, the release of the tee times came out, and we have some of those. Let me open up my tee times related so we can get through this. You can see it on your screen right there, just a few of the prominent ones that Andrew has put down on this screen. 3:44 a.m., these are East Coast times, you can see. Wyndham Clark, Hideki Matsuyama, and Tommy Fleetwood. The tee times will be starting at 3 a.m. on Thursday. Let's see, at 4:11 a.m. How about this group? Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Åberg. 5:55 a.m. Eastern, Xander Schauffele, Viktor Hovland, John Rahm. 6:06 a.m., Pavone, Morikawa, and Fitzpatrick. And that's some of them. Remember, there's 60 players on each side being men's and women's, respectively, 120 contestants for the Olympic gold, or the Olympic medals, plural, if you please, on the men's side and the women's side. The women's next week. The air times for all of this start on Thursday. Coverage will be on Golf Channel at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday through Sunday, with the coverage of golf in the Olympics from 3 a.m. Eastern Time. We keep emphasizing that because people are saying, where do I find it? How do I find it? That's where and how. And as I mentioned, the full tee times are out right now. So whoever you're looking for, if you're looking for somebody in particular, I suppose I could say send us a message on our YouTube page on the live discussion board, and we can try to find it, I suppose. But they're all out here. I've got them all right in front of me. Yesterday, it was an interesting video. Not sure where we got the video, Dom, of Rory at the Old Course. Fried Egg, I guess, is credited with it. I can see it on the preview. So here we go. This is Rory teeing off an 18. I saw another video of him teeing off the hole before it, the road hole. Obviously, a lot of people were out there watching Rory play. And Fried Egg says he got through the draw. You know, he applied and got through the draw. I don't know whether they were being facetious or if that's serious, that a player of the stature Rory McIlroy would need to go through the draw. It would speak to, wow, really sticking to their guns in terms of who gets on the Old Course if that's the case, but I don't know the answer to that. So there was Rory out there teeing off on hole number 18. Now, a number of different players spoke to the media, and they're all asked the same question, right? It was the same question we were discussing yesterday on this show. What is the significance of an Olympic medal? What's the significance of winning gold at the Olympics? And how does it compare to the highest tier in the game of golf, which, of course, are majors? Scottie Scheffler had this to say. He was quoted as saying, "It'd be very special to have a gold medal. If I don't, my life is certainly not going to end, but it would be extremely special to have a gold medal, and it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm here this week. I love going to watch table tennis yesterday, but that's not why I showed up. I try to place an equal amount of value on all the tournaments I play. I feel like that anytime I show up, I'm trying to do my best, and that's definitely the case this week. It's definitely special to be a part of the Olympics, and I'm looking forward to the chance to compete for a medal for our country." That from Scottie Scheffler. Now, Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, incidentally, speaking today, and I'll show you those presser schedule in just a second. But Scheffler was asked also about the assembled media, which I'm impressed that there were enough media there that either were golf specific, they're just for the golf, or knew enough about the golf to ask him about the season he's having, because of these questions that we have about how do you compare his season to that of Xander Schauffele's, which we'll get into in today's show. But Scheffler said the following to this year. You can see it on your screen if you're with us on the TV side. I think if you took a look at my statistics, statistically, I think my putting has gotten better than last year, and I think I still have a lot of room to improve. Based on pure statistics, I went from losing shots on the green to, I think, positive now. Stepping away from this for a second. Dom, grab me his strokes gained putting this year compared to last year, if you would. Continuing. Seeing those little results like that can be really great for your covered, knowing that you're working on the right things and working in the right direction. I mean, sometimes the game is really just as simple as that, holding a couple more putts. Definitely this year I've held some putts in key moments. I've looked back at rounds like I had at the Players holding key putts, like at the Masters, making that putt to win the Memorial. The margins out here are so small that sometimes you're a good break away from winning a tournament and a bad break away from losing one. This year so far, I've been on the right side of things, and last year I would say I was on the wrong side of things for a while. Kind of just the ebbs and flows of playing a game for a living. It never makes it easy to win, and, sometimes you're good at it, and sometimes you're not. Close quote from Scottie Scheffler, those two quotes respectively. To the point of Scottie's putting, as you guys know, at the Open, I was assigned to Scottie, and what I saw from him, if memory serves me, I believe it was Friday that I was assigned to follow Scottie Scheffler. He should have shot at least 5 shots lower than what he did. At least. And when I say should have shot, it's not because I'm judging him for what he didn't do. He hit great putt after great putt after great putt. They just grazed the edge. Now, you could criticize me there and say, well, then it's not a great putt if it was just outside the hole. But that's the way he was reading the break. Again, you could criticize me there and say, well, then he didn't read it correctly. Okay, they didn't drop for him. But the putts look, you know what I'm talking about? When you see really great putts, what's that quote from Tom Kite back in the day where he said, I made that putt, it just didn't go in? Well, that's the kind of putts that I was seeing from Scottie Scheffler. And by the end of the round, Scottie Scheffler, who normally seems so stoic at the Open, he was really frustrated because he couldn't get these to drop. And I believe when that happens with a great player, they are hitting their spot. Do you know what I'm saying? They're hitting the putt exactly where they wanted to hit it, and it just didn't drop. So that's why I'm saying he could have been at least 5 strokes lower relative to the Open. Scottie wasn't the only one that was speaking. You know what? I'm going to jump away from this for a second, Andrew. I want to go to that presser schedule so we have an idea of when Scheffler is going to be speaking as well. So this is, as of today, Oberg and Noren, the two representing Sweden, will be speaking. At 2:15 local, Xander Schauffele will be speaking from the USA. You can see Answer, Ortiz, Pavone, Perez will be speaking later on today. Then Wednesday, Connors and Taylor from Canada, Clark and Morikawa from the USA, Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood from Great Britain, respectively. So I am curious what Xander's going to have to say, because he's going to be asked very similar questions. And let me present this to you just for a second. Take a look at Scottie Scheffler's and Xander Schauffele's seasons so far. Right? I'm not sure how deep we'll get into that in this segment, but I want to get into this today. This is Scottie Scheffler versus Xander Schauffele in 2024. Starts, Scheffler 16, Schauffele 18. Wins, Scottie has 6. Xander Schauffele has 2. Scottie won the Masters. Xander won 2 major championships, the PGA and the Open. Runner-up finishes, both have 2. Top 10s, 14 for Scottie, 12 for Xander. Top 25s, 15 for Scottie, 17 for Xander. Cuts made, Scottie made 16, Xander made 18. Strokes gained total, Scottie's first, Xander second. Strokes gained tee to green, Scottie's first, Xander's third. Strokes gained approach, Scottie's first, Xander's fifth. Greens in regulation, Scottie's first, the contrast to that is strokes gained putting. Xander is 9th. I'm going to give you Scottie's strokes gained putting when I go to Dom on this in just a second. That's why I asked him to pull it up. Plus, he referenced it in his comments. Proximity to the hole, Scottie is 2nd. Xander Schauffele in scrambling is 1st. Scoring average, Scottie is 1st. Scoring average, Xander is 2nd. So you can see it's extremely tight, save for the fact that Scottie has 6 wins to Xander's 2 wins, but Xander has 2 majors, Scottie has 1. Dom, let me pull you in here. What did you find out for Scottie with strokes gained putting?
He's correct, but not really. And what I mean by that is his putting just isn't that great statistically. However, he did improve. Last year, he was 162nd on tour. He was losing 0.301 shots to the field, so a third of a shot. This year, he is currently 90th, and I guess you can say he's gaining strokes, but it's 0.037. So that's like, what is that, 3/100ths of a stroke?
Yeah, it's nearly, he's nearly break even. He's nearly break even on the greens and strokes gained putting,
Sure.
but again, say what you want about what the actual number is, 0.037 versus 0.301. He's 90th on tour, and that's not even average on the PGA Tour. So his putting is improved. It just shows you how exceptional.
It did improve. Correct.
It just shows you how exceptional he is in every other part of the game. So I want to get to that conversation about player of the year in a moment here with that. What's your question of the day today, Dom?
That is the question of the day. Who would be player of the year right now, this second? Xander or Scottie? I don't think there's anybody else even in the conversation. But, yeah, I mean, you saw the graphic. We can talk about it later if you want. But I think it's a very, very complex discussion.
All right, who would be player of the year if the vote were to take place right now? And what results are you getting back early?
Oh, I just posted it, so it's only been, there's only a few votes in. But right now it's 75% Xander, but that's a bad sample size. Give me 20 minutes, and I'll have a real number for you.
It's interesting to me that 75% would go to Xander. Is that because of a recency bias? Right? Or is it because 2 major championships outweigh 6 wins with 1 major?
Well, like Derek just wrote in and said 2 majors in a year hasn't happened for a very long time, so I have to give it to Xander. But it's by a bee's hair, which is not a lot.
Yeah, that's a good measure of distance here, a bee's hair. So that's the question of the day is out there right now. You can find it on our YouTube page. If you guys are watching this, I'm guessing that you're already signed up to our YouTube page. But remember, we are going to be drawing a name, and you have to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page and make sure that you subscribe to our social channels, which you can find our social channels right down here and right down here or whatever. Make sure that you subscribe to all of our social channels, and you'll be in the running for this driver. It is a QI10 Max driver that we're giving out. And the Max driver means that it has the maximum forgiveness, the widest sweet spot, as they say, the hitting zone. It's got that carbon face that TaylorMade has put on these drivers. This is, remember, a second generation, so this is a performer. I'm hearing great things from people out in the marketplace in terms of how this is performing and how much people like it. I'm sure you're going to be delighted with it too. But if you guys are interested in this, we're going to be giving one away, and I'll probably do it next week. I'm guessing it just because it depends upon our schedule and our timing, but probably next week. So there's still time for you to sign up for it. So make sure that you are subscribed to Fairways of Life on YouTube, and make sure that you are following us on our social channels so that you are in the running for this. All right, more coming up in the Fairways of Life show today. We got a lot to go through. I got comments from John Rahm that I want to go through with you. Same thing. Again, how would you weigh a gold medal if you break through on it at the Olympic Games? And then Jason Day really had some fascinating comments. He goes back to 2016, and in 2016, as I recall, 2016 was the whole Zika thing. right? And I remember Jason Day saying, "No, I'm not going down there with the whole Zika thing. You know, we're raising a family. We're trying to have kids. The risk is too high." Well, he came out at this Olympics and spoke to the Jason Day of 8 years ago, spoke to the Jason Day of 2016, and it was pretty shocking. He flat out said he wanted to quit. The details of which we will get to from his own words, plus Rory McIlroy on his reflection of what it would mean to win a gold. All of that and more coming up in the Fairways of Life show right after this, which is presented by the PGA Tour Superstore, the #1 golf retailer from coast to coast. They keep on opening these big, beautiful stores. They just opened a new one up in Michigan. You want it? They got it. Whether you swing it, whether you wear it, whether you need to learn from it, and you're shopping with the pros. They know what they're doing, and they are vested in finding what's best for you and your game.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try this. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get.
Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Pleasure to have your company from wherever you are joining us. So, as I like to do at big events, I love to know what players are thinking coming into the week. Love to know where their head is at. And then we see the way it comes out in the wash. Well, the wash is going to all be coming out here. This video you're seeing is courtesy of Ryder Cup Europe. And the reason why we're showing it to you is because that's the venue. That's Le Golf National. I don't expect it to have the big grandstands and all the rest that it did for that Ryder Cup. But it gives you a sense of the golf course. And what's really interesting, like what you're looking at right now, this is where the golf course finishes. It starts kind of low and around these ponds. And it looks like something you'd see in, South Carolina or Ponte Vedra, the Pete Dye kind of look. And then the golf course kind of raises up, and you actually are playing through rolling hills. So it changes character as the course progresses, and then as it finishes, it settles back down into what I will call the lowlands in and around the water features. So I thought it was a really unique golf course. Now, as you guys recall, for that Ryder Cup, it was set up in such a way that it pretty well chewed up the American team. I think about the short par 4 sixth in particular. On this particular day, it was singles. I was assigned to Brooks Koepka and Paul Casey. And on the 6th hole, it was kind of a microcosm of the week for Team USA. Paul Casey gets up there with a hybrid. It's not a long par 4. With a hybrid, he pops it right out into the middle of the fairway. Brooks Koepka gets up there, driver, smashes it into the closely hewn left rough. Kind of protrudes on that left side just a little bit, just enough. The lack of caution cost deeply, and that's just one hole. And I saw it time and again on that one hole from Team USA. The long hitters were constantly trying to smash driver up there, and they ended up in that left rough, which once you get in there, you had to hack your way out. And even if you hacked it out, which they did because they're the best in the world, to a point where, they'd end up with a par, they were usually losing the hole because from the middle of the fairway with a high lofted club in hand, maybe you're 30 yards, farther from the green, they were able to nestle it close and win the hole. I saw it time and again on that just one particular hole. So I don't believe that Le Golf National is going to be set up for anybody. How can it be in a stroke play event this week? But I'm just telling you, it's a really unique golf course. And if you're one that, coming into the week, we're looking at the odds. Andrew, go ahead and pull them up. These are the odds at the start of the week. Right? So if you're looking at that and going, okay, is this style of golf advantageous to any of the particular golfers? Bear in mind a couple of things. One, almost all of the players that you see play predominantly their golf in the USA, a USA-style golf course, which is what I would liken this to the closest because of the way it starts and because of the way it ends in particular. Right? So a lot of the players coming into the weeks I mentioned to you, which I love analyzing this, we're talking about the significance of winning a medal and specifically the significance of winning a gold medal. So John Rahm was asked about the value of the Olympics, and he said, quote, "It's hard to say. Golf history with the Olympics is so young right now that it may not have the magnitude or recognition that it could have in the future," right? Unfortunately, in golf, majors are always going to be, not unfortunately, it's just what it is. It's always going to be the biggest part of the sport. I think to the public, having a major might mean more. On a personal level, to be able to win a gold medal for your country is always going to have much more meaning for yourself than it might to the public, right? It's hard to say. It's hard to say where I would put it. Close quote from John Rahm. Now, as I mentioned to you guys, these quotes are always telling. These quotes are, I think, are always kind of a picture into a player's current psyche and competitive mindset. Some are more difficult to read than others. And then there are the times when you have players that come through that, in this point in time, are so honest, even when their honesty contradicts a prior them, that it's fascinating. Take the case of Jason Day. If you remember in 2016, he was like, "I'm not going to Olympic golf. It's just not for me." It was a big deal then 8 years ago. Big deal. I'm not going. They got Zika. My wife and I are trying to have kids, more kids, whatever. So listen how fascinating this is. Quoting, I think if you would have asked me in 2016, I would have given you a politically correct answer, even though I thought differently. Just because growing up, even though I respected the Olympic athletes and the Olympics itself, golf was never a part of it. Early 1900s. It was a part of it really, really quickly. It was something I grew up watching, but never thought that I would ever play as an Olympic athlete, and was just never on the radar. At that time, like I said, in 2016, I was at a point in my career that I was like, I'm kind of done playing golf in my career right now, because I got to a point where I was burnt out. Now, watching judo and some of the other women compete yesterday, and the true emotions of what they go through when they lose, and watching some of these women break down, showing how much it actually means, not only to represent their country, but like to try to win a medal. Because to them, this is their biggest tournament of the year. And it's not every 4 years. Or if not every 4 years. And this means so much more to them. For us, we could play a tournament next week if we want to. So it just keeps rolling over. To watch an athlete go through the emotion of trying to overcome a loss or overcome winning for the first time, winning a medal for the first time, it's very inspiring to watch. So it definitely has changed the way I view golf in the Olympics, and that's why I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be able to compete here this week. Close quote from Jason Day. I thought that was absolutely remarkable. This is a player that had ascended in his career to world number one. This is a major champion. And this is a player that you would think was right in the heart of the best of that he ever had been as a player through that period. And he's saying, no, I wanted to stop playing. I was burnt out. It's incredible, isn't it? And it's not so much that I'm shocked by the revelation, because he's being honest with us. That's the way he was feeling at that time, right? And I bet there's a lot of players that we could talk to, regardless of their prowess in the game at any particular time, that if they were honest with us, they would say, yeah, I was at a point, or I am at a point where I'd rather just walk away than to keep going, but it's their job. What I thought was interesting about that quote was the way that we could use it as a contrast, looking back on where he was in 2016, one of the powerhouses for the game, and how that compares to where he is right now. And he was saying, no, in 2016, headspace, I wasn't in a good one, my interpretation. Just fascinating, isn't it? Really fascinating. And then there's this from Rory McIlroy in winning the gold medal. Rory said, it would be an achievement, certainly, of the year. If not, I think for me, it's well documented that I haven't won one of the big four in 10 years. It would probably be one, if not the biggest in my career for the last 10 years. Okay, so, end quote. I should say before I say so, end quote. So, for Rory, how we interpret that is basically, in my interpretation, I'm saying, look, this isn't a major, but I haven't won a major in 10 years, so it'd be the biggest thing I've won in the last decade. Okay, that's a nice way to put it. BBC spoke to Rory early in the week, and similar subject on Rory being there. Here's what he had to say.
We have our four majors, which will always be the four majors, but I think as time goes on and as the Olympics becomes a bigger part of our sport, it'll obviously mean more to the sport. So yeah, I mean, look, I was really close to winning a medal last time, and was said I'd never tried as hard to finish third before in my life. So once you're in there, and especially if you're in contention for a medal, you feel the buzz of it, and it's really cool.
Do you ever think an Olympic gold medal could sit alongside a major in golf?
It's hard to say. I think it's hard to say because even this week, with the way the qualification system works, not all the best players in the world are here. So you'd like to think that if you're going to win something that's really prestigious in the sport that you want all the best players playing, and that doesn't quite happen here. But it's still very meaningful, and like if I were to win a medal, and especially a gold medal, it would mean a lot to me.
So it's an interesting subject that Rory brought up there at the end, because again, they're being asked to, would you compare this to winning a major, and where does it fit, right? And Rory has the fortitude to say, well, wait a minute, you know, with all due respect, we're playing against who's here, granted, but you don't have all the best players in the world because of the way the qualifying works, right? Which essentially says, if you're inside of the top 15, you can represent your country as long as it's not more than 4. Because by and large, it's 2 players for the countries, right? Unless you're inside of the top 15 and not more than 4. That's the reason why, for example, Bryson isn't there. So if you're going to compare the competition to a major, what Rory's saying there, translating my effort, then it's not going to compare yet to a major if a player of the stature, guy who won one of the majors this year, isn't in the competition because he didn't qualify. Because the qualification is based predominantly on world golf rankings, and the cutoff date, Bryson wasn't high enough then to have gotten in. So it's a really interesting perspective from Rory McIlroy, because when we look at, they're comparing it to the majors. So that's why I'm making what I'm about to say to you. If you're going to compare it to the majors, even though the world's qualifying criteria for their highest events, the majors, these Olympics, you can even throw the players in there if you want to, they haven't figured it out yet. It clearly is not correct yet. We've been saying that for some time. They've got to figure out a way, if you truly want your competition to represent its highest form, you've got to find a way that all the best players in the world are represented. And it's not based upon politics, and it's not based upon the phrase that you guys already know that I dislike, the so-called ecosystem, which to me just sounds like building walls. And so I thought it was a really interesting comment from Rory McIlroy, where he's saying, yeah, this is important. It's a big, big deal, but you don't have all of the best players here because of how the qualifying works. Or do you look at that and you kind of shrug and go, wait a minute, this is the Olympic Games. The Olympics should stand out independently. And if you didn't qualify based upon the way that the Olympics are saying, this is the way it works, which is predominantly off world golf rankings, which is exactly what I was just talking about in terms of getting it corrected. The field is stout. You show up, you can only play against the people that are there. The competitors don't decide the criteria for who gets in and who doesn't get in. But I thought it was brave of Rory to say, this is a big, big deal. But it can't be as big until you're competing against all of the best in the world. How that can happen at the Olympics, I don't know. But until you have a qualification criteria where all of the best in the world are all judged equally to try to gain one of those few coveted spots, then I think he's right. Back with more of the Fairways of Life show right after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm-up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
What if we started a company and the company was under no time constraints, no financial constraints? The one constraint is their clubs had to be exceptional performers and much better than any other alternative. I was told time and again it'll never work. It worked like a house of fire. And I'll tell you what, I think our customers love it. BXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life Show. Pleasure to have your company, folks. So let's dive into the question of, could it be the Olympic Games? Could it be FedEx Cup playoffs? Could it be Tour Championship as part of FedEx Cup playoffs that decides the player of the year? Obviously, it's down to Scottie Scheffler and Xander Schauffele. If you look at the season's performance of Scottie Scheffler and Xander Schauffele, it's very impressive on both parts. Again, let me run through this. Starts. Scottie is 16, Xander is 18. Wins. Scottie is 6, Xander is 2. Scottie won the Masters. Xander won the PGA and the Open. Dom, tell me how many players all time have won 2 majors. I don't expect you to get it right now. We'll come back to you. Runner-up finishes, they both had 2. Top 10 finishes, Scottie's had 14, Xander's had 12. Top 25 finishes, Scottie's had 15, Xander's had 17. Cuts made, Scottie 16, Xander 18. Strokes gained total, Scottie's number 1. Strokes gained tee to green, Scottie's first. Strokes gained approach, Scottie's first. Greens in regulation, Scottie's first. Strokes gained total, Xander's second. Strokes gained tee to green, he's third. Strokes gained approach, he's 5th. Strokes gained putting, he's 9th. Strokes gained putting, for just to give you a comparison, for Scottie, he's 90th. Proximity to the hole, Scottie is 2nd. Okay, because you got to look at this stuff and go, well, wait a minute. How is Scottie Scheffler if he's not even average in strokes gained putting? Because he's exceptional in every other area. Xander's first in scrambling. Scoring average, Scottie is first. Xander Schauffele is second. So it comes down to the question of, how much do you weigh a major championship against other wins? Xander has 2 wins on tour this year. Both of them are majors, the PGA and the Open. Scottie has 6 wins. One of those 6 wins is a major. So it's really hard to compare. Now, I'll use just, I don't know, I'll throw it out there and see what you guys think, measure. Colin Morikawa, he's won 2 major championships. Colin Montgomery, another Colin, never won any majors. Knocked on the door a lot. Won a lot of orders of merit. Won a lot of events on what was then called the European Tour, now called the DP World Tour. So let's talk about the Colin that didn't win any majors. He was asked one time, how many wins, like regular wins, wherever they are, how many wins would be equivalent to a major? And he came up with a number of 8. Do you remember this conversation? It was quite a few years ago. And he came up with a number of 8. So, Andrew, if we go back to our chart for a second, and you used that criteria of the comparison of the 2 players of Scheffler and Schauffele. So say a Masters championship is worth 8. What does that give you with a net? That gives you a total of 13 by comparison. Whereas if you took Xander Schauffele and you said they were worth 8, then you'd be looking at 16. And I'm only saying this stuff to open up our minds. I know it makes it much more complicated in how you're trying to figure all this out. Or you could look at this and go, wait a minute, Xander won twice and won half of the year's biggest events, the majors. But he won twice. Scottie Scheffler won 6 times and a major. I'm not suggesting that the answer to this question is easy. That's why I'm suggesting that if you look at, bundle the big events at the end of the year. Yeah, Olympics, yes. The FedEx Cup playoffs. Yeah, the Tour Championship is part of that. Will they factor in? I can't see how they can't factor in. Dom, what do you got for me?
I got a couple things, Matt, statistically, that can add to this conversation. Trying to look for things in the past that, for lack of a better term, we can use as some sort of a barometer when having this discussion. In 2008, on the PGA Tour, Padraig Harrington won the PGA Tour Player of the Year. He won 2 majors. He did not win more events than Tiger Woods, who won 4 times that year on the PGA Tour. And the Player of the Year went to Padraig Harrington, who had 2 majors, even though he didn't have as many wins. Interesting. Another interesting season is 2011. In 2011, the PGA Tour Player of the Year was Luke Donald, who won 2 times and no majors. And there were various players that won 2 times that year. But everybody that won a major never won a different tournament. So each major winner won a major and no other events the whole season. And then there was a handful of players that won, Steve Stricker, Nick Watney, that won 2 times on the PGA Tour. Again, interesting. The winner of the player of the year didn't win a major.
Yeah. And
no one won more than twice that year. That's really interesting.
And he won twice. And 2 regular events that he won were deemed to be more impressive. Now there's other factors that could go into it, consistency.
He won the match play, by the way, and I think at that time he might have been world number 1. But again,
he became world number 1, as I recall. With that, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that's what took place. But what I'm saying is there's a scenario where players in that year, and I know there's other factors, but players that year basically saying, hey, 2 wins, 2 regular wins, even though one of them is a World Golf Championship, trumps 1 major. That's a tough one, but I know there were other factors that year that went into that decision too. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's all. I was just, again, I'm trying to find precedent, right, for this discussion. And has anything like this happened in the past? And I can only go back with the amount of time that I've been looking, about 20 years.
Well, you can
go
Brooks
Koepka. To find an exact. Well, I mean, when Brooks Koepka won 2, he was Player of the Year, but no one else won more than 3 times that year during the season. So you're correct. Brooks Koepka won 2 times when he won the PGA and the U.S. Open in the same year, and he won Player of the Year. But no one else won more than 3 times during the season. And we're in an unusual situation where Scottie Scheffler has won 6 times, and one of them is a major. And really, I wouldn't say there's a ton of the season left, but there's a lot more chances for Scottie Scheffler to collect victories, collect a medal. There's a lot of things going on. So it's a complicated discussion.
It's definitely complicated. Did you get a chance to count up how many golfers have 2 or more wins?
I did. I forgot completely until you just told me that. The answer is 89.
Okay.
In fact, I'll read to you. Where is it? Hold on. 233 different men have won majors, and of that group, 89 have won at least 2. So it's a very, it's rarefied air, Matt.
It's very rarefied air. That's why this is so difficult to try to come up with an answer.
Yeah, but Scottie has more than one major. He just doesn't have more than one major this year.
That's true, which leads me to another question.
I think that has something to do with it.
It does, but it leads me to another question that I know you can't pull up the answer to in seconds, which
Maybe
would
I just know the answer.
How many players won multiple majors in the same year? You want to talk about rarefied air? Now you're getting into real rarefied air. I can see Dom diving at his computer screen to see if he can find an answer to that. So that's what makes it so difficult. I don't know if I were voting right now, I would be struggling. I would be waiting to see. I would wait to see what happened through the FedEx Cup playoffs, which I know a lot of people would probably scratch your head and say, "What are you talking about? Your major season is over. You should be able to put a stamp on the Player of the Year." And this year, I just don't think you can. It's that close. I see Dom coming up with something. I see his head spinning back and forth. Did you find any information on it, Dom?
I have a number, but I'm trying to confirm the number. The number I have currently is 33, but I'm trying to confirm that. That seems a little high to me.
It's a little high against 89. I mean, the total we're talking about is 89 all time. Those are multiple major winners, and they could have been multiple years apart. To think that more than a third, 1 out of 3 won multiple majors in the same season, I think more research might be necessary there. But the bottom line for me is I can't tell you who the Player of the Year should be. I do know that you've asked the world about who the Player of the Year should be. What information are you finding, Dom, from the people?
So it's 59% to 41% currently. And the question of the day was who would be the Player of the Year right now.
Okay. And
that 59% right now is in the Xander Schauffele camp, Matt.
Xander. And what was it, 59% to 39?
59 to 41.
Oh,
equals 100.
Right. Yeah, that would be 100. Yeah. Unless you had another. Sometimes you throw another, like, neither one of them or something in there.
59 plus 41.
Okay, so there's only 2 choices.
There's only 2 choices. That's right.
I didn't know you only
in
had
the
2
third category, 0%.
All right, 59% for Xander. Interesting stuff. What do you guys think? What would you do? What would be your choice? All right, thanks for joining us for the Fairways of Life show. We will be back tomorrow, going through the same stuff we're going through today. Looking forward to it in your company. Until then, be well. Goodbye for now.